Today's episode is brought to you by Real Estate Radio Experts. If you guys want to level up and start getting deals on the right side, which are sellers, you want those come list me calls, there's no better way to do it than radio. You can go to realestateradioexperts.com, check out some of the videos, and fill out the getting started sheet. We'll see if you're a good fit. Now, before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you, I want to give you a little primer here. I have been getting, I think I talked about this in the episode, but I got a lot of calls, emails about, hey, Toby, what do I do? What should my strategy look like for 2017? So I've been having some calls and I've been kind of helping people outline their plan. And I figured, you know what? I will just do it here. So that's number one. Now, number two is this strategy has just been kicking around my head for a long time. So I just turned on the record button and started talking. And if you've been listening to me for a while, you'll know that my brain works faster than my mouth a lot of the time. And sometimes that comes out, I stutter a little bit. You're just going to be prepared, buckle in, because my brain just starts unloading. All right, let's get to it. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first $1 million in real estate. Yeah. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned. Let's go! Yeah! Hey, everybody, what's up? What's happening? Hey, look, today's episode. First, I want to say thank you to all you new guys and girls who have signed up, started listening to the show. The show has been going off on iTunes and Stitcher Radio lately. We've, I don't know how much you guys know about how to do one of these podcasts, but we're in the business category. Now, the business category is the most competitive category on iTunes. Hundreds of thousands of podcasts that you have to compete against to try to get, mind share, to get people to watch or listen to your show. And thanks to you guys, we're always a top 100 show. And in fact, a few days ago, we were 32 in the world. So that's very, very cool. It's very fun to see that stuff. However, I got to tell you something. We're one of those rare shows that rank really, really high in iTunes, but we don't have the 1,000 or 2,000 reviews on iTunes. So if I could ask you for something, if you could take 3 minutes of your life, go to iTunes, and look, an easy way to do this is just go to superagentslive.com, our site. We have a button. It'll take you right there. And leave a rating and review. I'll give you a shout out. I would really appreciate it. I want this kind of content to get to as many people as possible to help them grow their business. And I know for a fact, some of you have told me that some of you guys find the show and you hoard it. Right? People said, I don't tell anybody about it because I don't want anybody else in my market to know of all these strategies that you talk about. And then there's other people, right, who do not have a scarcity mindset, who have an abundance mindset. They share it with everybody. So look, share it and give us a rating and review. I would really, really appreciate that. Now, look, as I said in the before the audio bumper, that this is an outline, an overview of a go-to market strategy for 2017, right? We're in Q4 right now. We have 90 days to look, here's the deal. So I'm going to jump around a little bit. When you look at the health of a local real estate market, there are three indicators that will give you an idea of what's happening, right? It'll be listing volume, it'll be inventory supplies, right? How many months of absorption is left there, and pending volume. And then you can also look at foot traffic. Now, what happens beginning in Q4, right? We start to see this decline down into December, where that's the trough, right? Out of the 12 months of the year, December is where the trough is, right? The lowest volume of listings and the lowest volume of pendings. However, right, many times the absorption there is much faster, right, than what you're going to see in August, for example. So a couple dynamics before we get into the strategy. So number one, many people, when they think about their marketing or advertising budget, and that's marketing versus advertising is a whole different topic that I'm actually writing an article in Inman about. But so what happens is there's three ways to deploy capital. Okay, you can deploy capital on a static basis, right? I have $5,000 a month I'm going to spend, and I spend $5,000 a month every month, January, February, March, all the way to December. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is mirroring and matching your spend with the volume of listings, right? So in December, let's say that December we know is the lowest volume for listings. So you deploy 500, right? I'm just making up a number. 500 in December, we start to see it jump up, the listing volume jump up in January. So you go 500 and then you go to 3,000 and slowly increase your spend to mirror and match the number of listings that are coming on the market. So that's kind of a second way you could deploy marketing dollars. And the third way is to go opposite of what everybody else does, right? We know that in Q4, the listings start to go down, but you know what happens, right? A couple things happen. Many people pull their house off the market during the holidays. But I have found in the past that is the best time for me to get an offer on a problem property. But what else happens? What do real estate agents do? You know what they do? They go, oh, hey, man, nobody's buying, nobody's listing, so I'm going to pull my ad dollars. So potentially you guys could, and I know of a guy, I'm not going to say his name. I know of a guy in Denver right now who is blitzing Q4. He's literally spending 3x what he spends in August. And he's going to take advantage of the market where everybody pulls their dollars, and he's the guy that's going to be dominating. And what he's making this bet on is that he's going to dominate mind share for Q4, and then moving into Q1, everybody, that's who they're going to have on their mind. So, the three different kind of ways you can think about deploying capital. But let's get into this go-to-market strategy for 2017. Now, I will tell you that if you go to superagentslive.com, I'm going to have a rough outline on the show notes, and you can have it just in case you're walking your dog or working out or whatever you're doing. So it's going to be there. Now, for some weird reason, I get emails all the time that are like, oh, hey, Toby, I can't find the show notes. That's there. All you do is, if you go to the episode, you just hit click more or read more, and boom, all the show notes will pop up. Okay, so what are you going to do Q1 2017? Now, the first thing, the first pillar, the first channel that every small business owner needs to have, and we all have it, right? Our sphere. Our sphere. Now, in this world of real estate, people will say sphere of influence. Now, I will tell you, your sphere and your sphere of influence are two different things, right? I mean, they're loosely very, very related, but they're different things. And you can easily onboard the people in your sphere into sphere of influence, right? And so let me give you an example of what that is, right? So you go to church, right? You go to the diner where you have your breakfast every whatever, right? You go to your coffee shop. There are people, you walk your kid to school. There are people that you see on a weekly basis. You know their face. Maybe you know their name. Maybe you don't. But they certainly know you, right? They can recognize you. Here's a good example. School just started for us. We have 3 kids in 3 different schools. So it's tough and all their classes start at about the same time. So my wife, Brandy, takes 2 of the kids to school, and I take my littlest one to school. So we live very close to the school. It's about a mile away. And we've been walking. We'll walk to school. So week 1, right? And I've never really taken my kids to this school, even though we've had 3 kids go through this elementary school, or 2 kids finish it. So I'm walking to school. I see this guy, and we see each other for about a week, right? And he's making weird comments about my dog. And then slowly, right, then I get to meet him, right? We know each other's name. Now we're saying hello, and then I see him at Vaughn's. Now that's a guy who was in my sphere, and I'm slowly bringing him, hopefully, potentially, into my sphere of influence. So who that you see on your weekly basis, right, at your church, at your diner, at your school, can you start to get close to these people and influence them? Okay, so whatever. So think about that. Now, before we go through these different pillars, different channels, here's what I want to outline to you guys. There is a method from moving people from your sphere into your sphere of influence. Now, this is, and I can also say there's a method to move cold prospects into hot prospects. And there's a very distinct sequence that you guys need to be thinking about when you do everything, right? This is going to apply to your relationships. It's going to apply to every single marketing thing that you do. Okay. Now I'm going to outline the sequence first, and then we can talk about how you can, implement it in these various channels. Okay. So here is the sequence. Now this is a very commonly well-known sequence if you play with internet, email marketing. Now, here it is. So step 1 is indoctrination, and I'll explain these. Step 1, indoctrination. Step 2, engagement. Step 3, ascension. Step 4 is segmentation. So what is all that, right? Well, those are just words. What is that? Okay. Indoctrination. We know before anybody's going to do business with us, they have to know us, like us, trust us. All right. So indoctrination is the act of letting everyone know who you are, what you do, your mission, what you stand for. Anybody who's going to transact business with you needs to know those things. Who you are, what do you do, what's your mission, what do you stand for? And then hopefully, they get to know you and then like you and then trust you. So first is indoctrination. That's what it is. What do you do? What do you stand for? The next step is engagement. Once people know who you are, what you do, what you stand for, hopefully, now you get to know them, right? There's this back and forth between the two parties, and you begin to engage them. What's your hot button around, and I'll talk about real estate because that's what this is about, right? What's your hot button around real estate, right? Are you in the market to buy? Are you in the market to sell? What's your time frame? What's important to you? All that stuff. So indoctrination moves to engagement, and once there's a dialogue back and forth and there's true engagement, the next logical step is ascension. Now, ascension is moving them up the value ladder, right? And ascension could be as little as, right, going back to that guy that I see at, walking to school. So I know his name, right? So that could be in a way, the first step in ascension, right? I see his face. Now I know his name, right? The next step of ascension, and he does know what I do, kind of. But the next step of ascension is getting his phone number or his email address, right? Ascension could also be, getting to a listing presentation. It could also be, right? The ultimate goal of all this stuff is to get a listing contract. So again, it doesn't matter how big or how little that ascension piece is. What is important is that you continue to move your prospects or your sphere up the value ladder, right? You need to continually ascend them. And if you think about all this, you'll find ways to ascend people. I think too many people, Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a good book, Jab, 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 Right Hook. And that whole jab, 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 right hook is deliver value, deliver value, deliver value, and then go for the ask, right? Go for the sale. And too many people don't think about these small incremental ascensions. They just go right for the kill. And when you go right for the kill, and look, I mean, that's a lot of people do that. But if you go right for the kill, how many chances do you really get to take that shot? Not many. So if you want to put yourself in the best light, the best situation to actually kill or go for the ask or make the sale or convert that prospect, you slow ascension is better. It's like dating, right? It's like dating. I see you, I meet you, I get your phone number, we go out to coffee, maybe we go to have some appetizers, maybe we have some drinks, right? All the way to getting engaged and getting married, right? It would be ludicrous for you to go from, hey, my name's Toby, you're Sally, let's get married, right? Crazy, right? Just like any relationship, slow incremental ascensions up the value ladder is the way to do it. Okay, so that's the method that you're going to do with we're going to talk about these channels, but that's the method. Whether it's through email, video, direct mail, whatever it is, the sequence you guys should be thinking about is indoctrination, engagement, ascension, and then the fourth piece is segmentation. So now they know what I stand for. We are engaged. I know what matters to them. I've ascended them up the value chain in some way, shape, or form. Now I need to segment them. And I can segment them. There's lots of ways to think about segmentation, but an easy, basic 101 way to think about segmentation is let me segment them as buyers or sellers. Okay? Buyers in group A, sellers in group B. And again, why are we going to segment them? Because would it make sense to market to buyers with in the same fashion, in the same way as sellers? Absolutely not. No way, right? That's crazy talk. It doesn't make any sense at all. Now, I don't want one of you tricky guys out there to make the argument, hey, Toby, look, all buyers first into the market all sellers first into the market as buyers. Yes, that's true. But again, segment them buyers versus sellers. So you can also segment them by time frames, right? We want the listings. We want the sell side deals. So are you going to talk differently to someone who's going to list in 30 days? Are you going to speak to them differently with different messages and with different frequency as somebody who's going to list in 6 months or a year? 100%. So it's this process. It's critical that you get into segmentation. Now, some people, some marketers believe in segmenting them and then re-segmenting them. I think it's too much work. All right. So hopefully you're writing this down. If you didn't, it's okay. Again, it's on the show notes at superagentslive.com. Okay. Now I want to talk about one last thing. It's critical. This is a critical component for you to really understand how to deploy and what to deploy in terms of marketing dollars. Now, if you've listened to the show for a while, this term comes up. And I'm the guy bringing it up. I've never had anybody else bring it up as an interviewee, as a guest. And it's this. And what would you say? Well, I'll just ask you a question. What is the lifetime value of your customer? What is it? Have you ever even thought about that? Have you ever even thought about what the lifetime value of your customer is? Now, and an easy way to think about this, if that term, it doesn't make any sense to you. So again, going like internet marketing, right? You, as a real estate agent, if that's what you are, you unfortunately don't have a suite of products to deliver, right? You just have one thing. I'll list your house or I'll help you buy a house. That's all you have. Now, as a marketer like myself, right, I have multiple products or services that we offer, right? We do radio, we do Scout Media where we buy Facebook ads, we do Viral Cast with a K if you want to look it up, where we'll, our podcast production company, we're launching a new line of I've been talking about this for a while. We've had this product for forever. We just haven't launched it. But emails that convert, right? We have 200 templated emails that we're gonna allow you guys to buy. And again, that's. I'm not trying to sell anything here, but we have a suite of products. So for me, right, our lifetime value for our clients, I need to know what that is. Because, do my radio people buy the podcast? Yeah, they do actually. Do the Scout Media people who are doing Facebook ads, will they buy the emails that convert templates? Yeah, they will. So here's why it's now for you. Hold on. Here's why it's important for you to know the lifetime value of your customer. Because you need to know the lifetime value of your customer, because that will give you an indication of how much you can spend to onboard that customer. Does that make any sense? Okay, so let me just run through a basic example for you guys, right? So let's just say the average side in your market is $250,000. Okay, $250,000, and your take of that is 2.9%. So that customer, if you only do one deal, if you're a crappy old agent and you only do one deal with that customer, and you never get a referral from that customer is worth $7,250, right? Now, obviously, if you are a good realtor and you get a referral, well, let's go times 2. Now that customer's worth $14,500. So let's say that you get one referral over the lifetime of this customer. Let's say you get one referral and he does and 2 deals, right? He buys and sells a property. So we're going to add $7,250. Now that one customer is worth $21,750. $21,000 if you do your job right, and potentially more than that. But let's just go back to, let's say you're a crappy old agent and you can't get a referral from the guy and you do another deal with him. That customer is still worth $7,250. Now let me ask you, how much would you spend to attract a client and make $7,250? Now, if you're a crappy agent, people who are crappy business people or crappy agents that will not make it in this business, they're cheap with their marketing dollars. I see people all the time. They're like, oh, I don't want to spend that. Whatever. I'll eat you. I'll dominate a person like that every single time, because I'll tell you this. Let me ask you, there's a number that you will spend to get that client. And again, for one deal, $7,250. I will tell you that for me, if I can get a double out of my money or a triple, I'm super happy, right? If I can put $1 in and get $3 back, I would do that all day long. If I could put $1 in and get $2 back, I'd do that all day long. So if you are only looking for a double, you could spend that one client worth $7,250 is actually, you could reasonably spend $3,625 to attract that person. If you spend $3,625 to attract that one client and you convert them, well, guess what? You just doubled your money. I'm sure you guys would be completely fine doubling your money. But let's say that you're really aggressive, really aggressive, and you're like, dude, you know what, Toby, I want to make $10. I want to make, for every marketing dollar I deploy, I want to make $10. Okay, that's fine. So I'll do the math. So if you want to make 10x your money, you could reasonably spend $725 onboarding that client. So what could you do with $725 per client? We could do a lot, right? I mean, that guy my school friend guy, right? I mean, I could take him out to a couple dinners. I mean, we could do a whole bunch of stuff for $725. But are most people thinking about deploying marketing dollars in this way? Not in this world, not in this space. So hopefully I've opened your eyes to a way of thinking about deploying dollars. And I can tell you this: if you don't know the lifetime value of your clients, you have no way of ever understanding how much you should deploy in marketing dollars. All right, let's move on. Okay, so your sphere is your pillar 1 now, and everybody has that. Now, pillar 2. Pillar 2 is, and everybody should have this, regardless of how many FSBOs or how many expireds you see in your market, that should be one of your pillars. Okay, FSBOs and expireds. Now, and why is that the case? Number one, you should target these folks because they've raised their hand and said, I want to sell my house. So you should clearly target those guys. Now, are there a whole bunch of other people targeting them as well? Yeah, sure. That's fine. But you're going to beat these people. You're going to beat them for 2 reasons. Number one, you understand how much marketing dollars you can deploy to onboard that client, and you can outspend those competitors. And 2, you've thought about this already, right? So what do you do? Now, this is I'm not sure if we go back to the sphere, how are we going to communicate with them? How are we going to go through the indoctrination sequence, right? We're going to do it by phone calls. We're going to do it by direct mail. We're going to do it by events. We're going to do events. What I mean is like going out to coffee, going out to lunch. We're going to do it by email. And thirdly, you guys need to be doing stuff as simple as taking your phone, making a video, holding it up, looking at the camera and going, hey, Toby, what's up, man? I was just driving down Main Street and I thought of you and hope all is well. Let's catch up soon. and take that video and then text me that video. What I mean is text your sphere that video, right? So that's how you're going to stay in touch with your sphere, because you can use all those channels available, because you can, right? You have their email address, you have their phone number, you have their physical address. And if you don't have those things, be deliberate and go out and get them. All right. What about your FSBO and expired sphere? The only thing you can do, really, there's two things you can do, right? You can pop by, but that I would tell you, I would be careful about that, because, your time is valuable. Money is one of those resources that's completely renewable. It's everywhere. You just have to go out and hustle for it. Time is non-renewable. So I'd be careful about getting in your car and driving over to that prospect's house, knocking on the door, hoping they're home, and hoping they're receptive to you saying, hey, man, I know your house just expired. Let me have a shot at it. So a better use of your time and dollars and everything is to create and send out direct mail. Now, what are you going to send to that person? If you think through the lens of the indoctrination sequence, right? Indoctrination, engagement, ascension, segmentation. Now, for these two pillars, you don't need to segment them. So here's what I would do. And I just did this. I just wrote for my autoresponder, Aweber, when somebody signs up on the site, when they go to superagentslive.com and they sign up on our landing page, they are going to get a 7-part series of an email sequence. Now, I can tell you that this email sequence has been off the charts for us. We've had crazy amounts of engagement. We've also had crazy amounts of new registrations, which is weird. I don't know why it's spawning that. So for you and these FSBOs and engagement pillars, sit down, do the hard work one time. Sit down and write a 3-part, 5-part, 7-part letter series that you can mail out to these people. Right? Again, thinking of it through the indoctrination lens. How do you could? I'm not going to get into scripting here, but letter number 1 could be, hey, this is why most expireds expire, and this is what I do. This is what I specialize in. This is how we're different. Right? That's letter number 1. Hopefully, you pique their interest. Letter 2 is engagement. Hey, I would love to hop on a phone call and see if I can help you. Fix some of the mistakes that were made. Whatever. So pillar number 2, FSBOs expireds, the way that you will work with them or interact with them or reach them is going to be through direct mail. There's out of the gate, there's nothing else you can do. All right. The third pillar that every real estate agent should have is a geographic farm. Right? So go out, pick a farm that pick a farm that you want to work in, pick a farm that has at least a 6% turn. And the goal of this geographic farm is you want to be the mayor, right? You want to be the guy that knows everything, that knows everybody, and when they're thinking about selling, it's like they automatically they're like, oh, Toby's the guy. What? Come on, man. So step 1, we're going to talk about all the things you can do to a farm. Step 1 is going to be direct mail. Now, you can't, just like, of course we do radio, you can't do an ad on radio and just say, hey, call Toby, he's a great guy. Hey, call Toby, he's the number 1 whatever. That doesn't work, right? You have to lead with an offer. You have to lead with your unique value proposition. Hey, call Toby, here's why. There's nobody else. Toby's the only guy who does this. So what is your unique value proposition? So think about that. And don't send out mailers. Don't send out mailers. I get these stupid mailers from these junk. Oh man, these crappy realtors in my market, and literally I see their fat face on the front of the postcard, and then on the back of the card, it's just a list of addresses. No prices, no nothing. I don't even know what I'm supposed to take away from this. And most importantly, what's not on there? Any kind of call to action. None. Those are marketing dollars just completely wasted. So you can send out just listed, just sold, and you should. But more importantly, I think you guys need to be sending out something, again, making an offer. Hey, I will, look, on radio, it's all around a guaranteed sale, right? We're going to guarantee to sell your house in 30 days, or you pay us nothing. We're going to guarantee to sell your house, or we'll write you a check, right? We'll guarantee to sell your house, or we'll buy it. So that's our UVP for radio, but what's yours? So again, don't look like everybody else. So again, okay. Geographic farm, direct mail, a no-brainer. you should do it, right? And don't be scared of spending the money. I know you're thinking, man, I don't want to spend $3,000. Spend the $3,000 and mail it every month. Just do it. You have to invest in your business. Okay, so the other thing that you can do in your farm, right? You need to have a VA, and your VA can do straight up cold calls into the farm. And depending on the rules around your area, right, they can say, hey, Toby asked me to call, and if you didn't know, right, he's the only guy in the market that will guarantee to sell your house. Are you thinking about calling? And again, there are different rules as to what these VAs can say. Know your rules. Be careful about it. The other thing you could do, and you should do, whether it's you and or your VA, you could circle prospect around just listed, just solds. And these just listed, just solds don't have to be yours, right? Because you're just going to say, hey, Mr. Salgado, I just wanted to give you a quick call. I don't know if you were aware, but we just listed the house on 123 Main Street, just 2 streets down from you. And we're trying to find a family that wants to live in your gorgeous neighborhood. Do you know anybody, right? And again, I don't want to get into scripting, but again, you can circle prospect in your farm around just listed, just solds. The other thing that I would 100% do in your farm is going to be open houses. Now, open houses, and by the way, I'm going to switch gears here just for 1 second. So if you like this kind of training session that we're doing, I'm recording on video. Because again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I got so many emails asking me this question. So I'm sick of responding to these emails and saying the same thing. Let me just record it. But I get a lot of common questions, and what we're doing is I'm starting to put these things on video, and I'm gonna upload them to teachable.com. And I'm gonna make them super available, like $2, $3, $4, $5, something like that. Teachable takes like $1, so I can't do them for $1, or I'd be paying you guys, or paying Teachable, or to get these out. But if you guys have an interest in seeing those, let me know. And also, if you have any questions that you want to answer, let me know, and I'll cover them. Okay, so. Going back to your geo farm, one thing that you should do is open houses. And the reason is, are you going to sell that house? No. 95%, 98% chance you are not going to find a buyer for that. But that's not your goal. Your goal is to, one, make your presence known in the farm, right? They're getting your phone calls. They're getting your direct mail. But you also want them to see your signs, right? And I would have 25 different open house signs with your name and phone number on them and an arrow going this way, and just pepper the neighborhood with them, on Saturday. And you know what? Don't hold the house open for 2 hours like, your crappy competitor. Hold it open for 4 at least. Hold it open all day, right? What you're doing is when you have 10, 15, 20 signs out there in your farm, with your name on it, and it looks like you have a ton of activity, that's valuable real estate. So I would use that real estate, own that real estate, lease that real estate for as long as you can on that Saturday or that Sunday. And if you made so you circle prospect to the closest 200 or 300 houses, saying, hey, we're going to hold 123 Main Street open. Would love to invite you. Would love to see you. Anyhow, so in your farm, you should be doing open houses. And really quick, so one thing if you don't know how to get the phone names and phone numbers of the people in your farm, you can use a service like Land Voice Data, and you give them some map parameters, and they can give you the all the names and numbers, and also who's on the do not call list, which is important. I have a radio client that just got fined like $3,000 for hammering somebody on the do not call list. So if you haven't used that or just want to try it out, I make those guys give you guys a 2-week free trial. You can go to landvoicedata.com/superagentslive and try that out there. Okay, so that is your third pillar. Now, what is your last pillar? Right, so we've talked about all the stuff. All this stuff is a mix of online and offline. And we clearly want, in our sales funnel, we want to match both those. We want to do some online stuff, some offline stuff, right? Some personal stuff. So the best thing to do to get online leads, and again, we want ultimately to have a piece, marketing. Here's the deal with marketing and or advertising, right? We can have this stuff working when we're not. right? That's why people used to do billboards, right? People are going, it's 6 a.m. in the morning and they're like, oh, hey, there's Toby's sign, right? I'm not saying you should do billboards, but, we want to have something always working for us, trying to generate leads and interest when we're not working. So the best way to do that online is going to be Facebook ads. That's it, hands down. And the reason why that is a no-brainer is, number one, you literally can do Facebook ads, drop Facebook ads for like $3 a day. And you can quickly A/B test messaging, right? You can have 10, 15, 20, whatever, ad sets in rotation, roll them and see what works, right? You can mix and match demographics, all that stuff. So it's very quick to market. It's affordable for everybody. You can quickly try out messaging and see what resonates in the market at that specific time. And more importantly, you can farm on Facebook a demographic. Right, so we have a geographic farm. Now we have a demographic farm. Right, we're targeting women, or we're targeting men. We're targeting 50-year-olds. We're targeting 35-year-olds. We're targeting incomes of 200K plus. We're targeting incomes of 75K plus. Like, it's really, really important for you guys to have a demographic that you're farming. All right, so now that's pretty good, right? So we have some open houses, we have a geographic farm, we have a demographic farm, we have our sphere that we're building, we have this FISBOs and expireds, we have a 3-part, 5-part, 7-part series of direct mail that we're going to send out. And the good thing about all these things that we're talking about is you can sit down one day, write all your marketing literature, and just file it. And then you know what? When it comes time to drop that FISBO or expired set, no problems. You get into computer and you put it on autopilot, right? And you can even have somebody else do it. You can pay your little sister to get out there and hey, Sydney, here's a new expired. Start the campaign. Okay. And one last thing on that, right? So with marketing, we all know this. With marketing and or advertising, the more personal we can make it, the better, right? So clearly, a face-to-face is better than a video, is better than a phone call, is better than a text, is better than an email. So when it comes to these letters that we send out, we can either print it up from our computer, right, completely impersonal, or we can handwrite them. Now, if you have crappy handwriting like I have, you can use a service, bond.co, and go check that out. They have these beautiful, these machines that will handwrite with beautiful Mont Blanc pens, a personalized letter. It looks like you did it. It looks like you have unreal handwriting. It's like $4 or $5 an email. A letter. But so what, right? Remember, right? What's our lifetime value of that FISBO and expired? How much money can you actually deploy to try to onboard them? Okay, so if you guys optimized for those 4 pillars and sub pillars, you guys would be in great shape. Well, as long as you stay consistent, you guys would be in great shape for 2017. But let me throw some cherries on top here of some things that maybe you haven't really thought of. So just like the FISBOs and expireds, they raised their hand and said, I need to sell my house. What are some indicators? What are some things that we can see out there that may be indicators of someone needing to sell, right? Because we want those people. We don't want the people that want to sell. We want the people that need to sell. This is it's weird because it just popped into my head when this is a little bit similar to what our unique value proposition is, right? We need to have a unique value proposition that is like penicillin, right? You can have an aspirin. Maybe I need to take it. Maybe I don't. Or a penicillin value proposition. Like if you have some kind of infection that you need penicillin, that's it. You need it. You have to buy it or you get worse. So hopefully your value prop is like that. So again, we want people that need to sell their house, right? I mean, the 3 Ds, death, divorce, disease. But on that note, we could, people who, so notice of defaults, NODs, right? Those are public record. Maybe you should think about writing a 3-part, 7-part 5-part series whenever somebody gets a notice of default. Those people, they're clear indication they probably need to sell their house. What about, right, remember I said death, divorce, disease? Now, if somebody gets a disease, that's not on public record. If somebody dies, that's on public record. But what about divorces, right? When somebody goes and files for divorce at the county courthouse, that's public record. If you have a good title guy, you know what? He can get you that list. If I were you, I'd write a 3-part, 5-part, 7-part series, with the indoctrination process baked in, and start to send out letters to all those people who just filed for divorce. And again, before I went through the trouble, I would obviously, go through a record search to make sure that they actually own property. And plus, knowing that they own property and talking about it in your letters would probably be pretty powerful. Okay. Look, man, that's it. I mean, I know that's rough. I know that's down and dirty. But there's a lot more detail than most people are going to give you. And if you have a coach through one of those big coaching companies, 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't give you a session like this because they don't think that way. So that's it. If you want more sessions like this, let me know. If you have specific questions, let me know. If you think you need personal help, you can, we have a little group coaching thing. It's super affordable. It's $99 a month. You can check it out at schoolofprofit.com. If your business is a little bit more mature and you want to implement Facebook ads or radio, let me know and we'll see if you're a good fit. Until then, have a great weekend and we'll talk next week.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15%